VACo on the go. Hi, I'm Amy Veely, and welcome to the first episode of VACo's video magazine, VACo on the Go, a video version of County Connections. Our purpose in producing VACo on the Go is to provide you with better insight on county news, activities, people, and legislative happenings. In this episode, our legislative team will analyze issues of interest to Virginia counties. We will also view highlights from Region 1's summer courthouse meeting and stop in on our annual conference planning committee meeting. We'll then talk to Gloucester County Administrator Brenda Garden, who reveals something about herself that might just surprise you. We'll wrap up the show with a permanent segment of VACo on the Go titled Scenes from a County. So come with me and let's go for the first episode of VACo on the Go.
Welcome to the legislative update on VACo's video magazine, VACo on the Go. I'm Dean Lynch, Deputy Executive Director of the Virginia Association of Counties. We have many high priority issues that we're working on in advance of the 2013 General Assembly. With me here are three staff to talk about those high priority issues. Larry Land will be talking about standards of quality and the impact that the standards of quality have on K-12 education funding. Followed by Phyllis Rico. Phyllis will be talking about broadband issues and the impact that the Farm Bill has on rural broadband access. Followed by Bo Blevins. Bo will be talking on Virginia health insurance exchanges and the impact that the Affordable Health Care Act has on those exchanges in Virginia. To begin with, first we'll talk with Larry. Tell us a little bit about the SOQs. What's happening in Virginia?
Dean, the Board of Education is now undertaking a study on the standards of quality. The standards of quality are basically requirements that local school divisions must meet in order to assure every child in Virginia a quality education. There are 4 guiding questions that will provide direction for the study. The first question is, what provisions in the SOQ are needed to support the direction of public education in the next biennium? Number 2, what standards are school divisions held accountable for that are not included in the SOQ? Number 3, are there provisions in the SOQ that are no longer relevant? Number 4, in order to provide for flexibility, what priorities should be set for reallocation of resources?
Larry, one question. Do these proposed regulations have a fiscal impact, or is there a cost estimate on what these regulations will cost local governments?
At this point, Dean, we do not know. That is estimating these costs are going to be part of the SOQ study that will be taking place over the next few years. That is a very important question, though. The reason why it's important is because over the last biennia, cumulatively, local school divisions spent more than $3.3 billion in excess of what is required under the current SOQ. This is largely because those cost factors that drive local expenditures are more driven by the standards of learning and standards of accreditation. In this study, it's part of VACo's position that the standards of quality need to be much more effectively aligned with the standards of learning and standards of accreditation.
Thank you, Larry. Very important issue for localities going forward. Continue to keep us updated on what's happening with the SOQs.
And thank you very much. I'll be glad to do that.
Phyllis, tell us a little bit about broadband and the impact that broadband has on the Farm Bill and that it has on rural localities that may be trying to access broadband capabilities.
Sure, Dean. You know, VACo's had a long-standing position urging the federal government and the Commonwealth of Virginia to support broadband and making it accessible to all Virginia's citizens. And the 2012 Farm Bill is an important piece of making this happen. The Farm Bill, which was passed by the Senate recently and is currently in the House of Representatives, includes some really important broadband initiatives. Now, the Farm Bill, which is reauthorized every 5 years, has had broadband initiatives in it, but many feel that it hasn't gone far enough, or that those funds that were supposed to be going to the rural areas have not in fact been getting to the rural areas. Thus, perpetuating the technology divide between the urban and the rural areas. And so Senator Warner has submitted an amendment which was passed to the Farm Bill, which is looking at just how these funds are being used. It looks at accountability. It's making sure they're going to get to unserved and underserved areas. And it's also making sure that on the broadband map we know what areas have service and what don't.
Phyllis, you mentioned that broadband is only one aspect of the Farm Bill. What else is in the Farm Bill that may impact localities going forward in 2013?
There are a number of issues. The broadband is a really the Farm Bill is a really comprehensive act, and it includes many things such as water and wastewater infrastructure, nutritional issues, farmer assistance, and economic development, just a number of things. Broadband is one piece of it, but a piece that's really important for our rural communities.
Phyllis, keep us posted, keep us up to date on the activities of what's happening with the Farm Bill and rural access to broadband. It's a very important issue for Virginia localities.
Thanks, Dean.
Bo, can you tell us a little bit about the Virginia Health Insurance Exchange?
Yeah, Dean, and as you may know, and as our viewers may know, the United States Supreme Court a couple weeks ago upheld the Affordable Care Act. And what that does is it requires each state to adopt a health insurance exchange. And these exchanges will commence in each state in the upcoming months. Now, what that does here in Virginia is it expands Medicaid. It expands Medicaid to cover individuals and families whose income is 133% of the federal poverty level. It also expands the CHIP, which is the Children's Health Insurance Program. It expands that enrollment process. So what that also does, Dean, is it gives a marketplace. The health insurance exchanges provides a marketplace for individuals and businesses to shop for premiums and policies, and also a government subsidy if they're eligible.
Bo, is there going to be any kind of a cost estimate for these health insurance exchanges? Has there been anything out there to where that's going to be a savings, or anything generated to where localities are going to be able to put a price fix on it or a cost on it?
We don't have a number yet. The Government Accountability Office, the GAO, estimates that there may be some savings up in the billions for states and localities, but they're still trying to get a hold on that right now. What's yet to be seen is if localities who have a lot of part-time employees, how it will affect them, because it does require employers or localities who have more than 50 full-time employees, it requires them to provide health insurance for those employees. And so a locality who may have less on paper 50 full-time employees, but a lot of part-time employees, it's yet to be seen how they'll count those part-time employees. So it could have some savings for localities, but also at the same time could maybe have some cost.
Very important issue, especially for local governments. Continue to report to our members and keep us in the loop as far as what's happening. Thank you, Bo. One additional issue that I would like to talk about before we leave, and that's comprehensive state tax reform. Comprehensive state tax reform has been on the minds of local governments and legislators alike. There have been rumblings of reform when it comes to local business taxes, real estate taxes, and personal property taxes. Many local governments believe now is the time for comprehensive state tax reform, and that includes the state income tax. We must find ways to support the infrastructure needs of the Commonwealth for transportation, education, and other core services delivered at the local level. The Commonwealth cannot continue to devolve fiscal responsibility for these programs to local governments. That being said, we anticipate numerous study committees this fall. VACo will continue to monitor and keep you apprised of what's happening with comprehensive state tax reform. I'd like to thank our panelists for being a part of the issue discussion here today, and thank you for watching VACo on the Go.
Thank you for watching this segment of VACo on the Go. I'm Jim Campbell, Executive Director of VACo. You have just heard our legislative team discuss many important issues, but there are many other important issues that we are following that you should be considering. For instance, transportation and road maintenance, water quality, and the environmental issues associated with the cleanup of the Chesapeake Bay are all very expensive but important issues to your county. I encourage you to participate in the upcoming discussions by our steering committees as we develop our legislative platform for the future. Also, if you have not had an opportunity to attend our educational sessions, sign up now for our Certified County Supervisors Program and plan to attend our annual conference in November as we learn more about issues that will affect your county. Remember, VACo exists to support county officials and to effectively represent, promote, and protect the interests of counties as they serve the citizens of this great Commonwealth.
Now for the news briefs. VACo staff recently visited Region 1 to discuss legislative and local issues affecting counties. Sussex County served as host. Topics range from tax reform to land use to holding legislators accountable. Here is Isle of Wight Supervisor Al Castine talking about change.
What do we have? We don't have money when we go see these local guys, when we go see these state people or these federal people. You do have one thing. We do have one resource. We have influence in our area. And this past year, we had a 42% turnover within the state, somebody said earlier. So when and if we can get to the point that we have a 42% turnover at the state level and the federal level, guess what? Our lives are going to be better.
Supervisor Castine went on to call for a gas tax and a reform of the taxing system. Prince George County Supervisor Bill Robertson demanded no more unfunded mandates, much to the delight of the attendees.
Our first thing is, and I'm sure it's every one of you out there, is no additional unfunded mandates and restoration of local control. That will always, I think, be VACo's and every jurisdiction's statement.
Supervisor Robertson also expressed concerns about CSA and eminent domain. In other news, VACo's Conference Planning Committee recently met to discuss the 2012 annual conference in Bath County. Waves of Change, Ocean of Opportunities was chosen as the theme for the November 11th through 13th event. Also, judges for the 2012 Achievement Awards gathered at VACo headquarters recently. 37 entries were submitted, and winners will be announced on August 1st. VACo staff will present awards at Board of Supervisors meetings, as well as at the 2012 annual conference. Up next on VACo on the Go, we meet the Gloucester County Administrator.
We recently spoke with Gloucester County Administrator Brenda Garden and asked her to tell us something about herself that most people don't already know.
Probably most people don't realize that I was a high school teacher at one point. So once a teacher, always a teacher. That makes me tend to tell people where to go and what to do, and I can become a little bit bossy at times because I'm used to running a classroom. But on the other hand, it comes in handy with explaining things and organizing retreats and activities like that. So it's an asset and a curse.
And Brenda, what's the biggest issue facing Gloucester County today?
Obviously, other than the financial stress that every locality is dealing with right now, for Gloucester County, our major issue is getting a new school constructed to replace the Page Middle School that was partially destroyed by the tornado in April of 2011. It has been both a financial issue because we have to cover the cost of replacing that school, although we did get insurance reimbursement for the tornado damaged parts, but it's also been an emotional issue because you've had folks who had an attachment to the school, the teachers that were there, the students that were there, so the community has had to deal with both the financial side of that as well as the emotional side of it.
And did you know that Brenda is married to Accomack County Administrator Steve Miner? Brenda, what's it like having 2 county administrators under one roof?
Having 2 county administrators under one roof. Well, first of all, that's not actually accurate, because we both live in our respective localities during the week, and we only get together on the weekends. So we live under one roof on the weekends, and sometimes it's his roof and sometimes it's my roof. It has probably pros and cons. Most people would assume that we talk about work all the time, and therefore, it sort of has a negative impact on our personal relationship. That's not actually true, because it's wonderful to be able to vent about something at work that's stressing you out, and to know that your partner actually 100% understands where you're coming from, and your partner knows you don't need any advice. You just need to let off steam and get it out of your system, and then everything's fine. So it's wonderful.
Thanks, Brenda, for sharing a slice of your life. Up next, Scenes from a County.
Humpback Covered Bridge is one of the few remaining covered bridges in the United States that was built higher in the middle than on either end, hence the name of Humpback. The bridge was built in 1857 and is also the oldest remaining covered bridge in Virginia. The bridge spans the tributary of the Jackson River known as Dunlap Creek for a distance of 109 feet. This beautiful landscape scene is from Rockbridge County. As of 2010, the county's population was slightly more than 22,000. The county seat is Lexington. Some notable people from Rockbridge County include Sam Houston, the only man to be governor of 2 states, Texas and Tennessee. Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson are also from the county. Visit Rockbridge County.